Hey Bear, what are you doing? Hey Bear. Hi, we're down here in Allegany State Park, and these two had a little experience with some bears this morning.
My name's Jeremy.
Jeremy? And
Allie.
Jeremy and Allie.
Yeah, we're thinking it was their mama and cub there. We walked right up next to our tent over here while we're sleeping and pranced around to the other campsites going into coolers. Got to keep your stuff locked up, guys.
Definitely prancing around. The one seemed like a cub because it jumped up and ran fast.
They had the closest encounter last night.
Yeah, we were just sitting by the fire, and brother man noticed it was a bear, and I saw a big shadow.
And then their cooler got knocked over.
Our cooler got taken down.
It's like corn,
Salad.
potato salad, macaroni salad.
Hello everybody, we got Jake from the state here. He's gonna answer a couple of questions for us about the bears that have been running around. What is the job that you have?
So I'm a wildlife technician here at Allegany State Park. We're mostly tasked with bear patrol, so our job is to go around and make sure campsites are complying with our bear measures and ask campers if they've seen anything and help mediate bear-human conflict.
What's an estimate of the bears that are in the park?
There's a roughly bear to every 3 to 5 kilometers as far as density goes. It is a higher density than it is with outside of the park, so there's definitely an increase of bears within the boundary.
How many of those bears become a problem with it?
It's not often. Every now and then you'll get a bear that travels up seasonally from Pennsylvania or other areas outside of the park, but that's typical during the season when we get a lot of people in, and it's usually larger males that are roaming the area. And the state of the nuisance bear isn't very often either. We'll get bears that occasionally get food, but they don't reach the level of becoming a full nuisance bear that often.
How much does a bear have to do in order to be relocated?
Typically, if a bear is a habitual bear and returns to the same campsite multiple times and gets a food reward multiple times, we'll then attempt to trap it, put a radio collar on it, and relocate it to a different area, all non-lethally, and just making sure that's in a safer area.
What are some measures that people can take to prevent the bears to become that problem?
Yeah, it's simple stuff. Using a bear box when you can, keeping your coolers either inside your house, your cabin, your RV. If you can't do any of those, making sure they're covered and keeping them in your vehicle can also be a good step if you don't have access to a bear box. And keeping your campsite tidy, picking up garbage, being vigilant and aware, and looking out for your fellow campers as well.
What's your funniest bear story?
My funniest bear story is actually, I lived in North Carolina a few years ago, and down there they're crazy. It's very heavily populated in the east or near the coast, and there's a lot of corn and fields. So we had this really big bear. His stomach was dragging on the ground, and he saw us drive by, and he would run for about 10 feet, stop, look back, see we were still there, and then run another 10 feet. But he was getting winded pretty fast, so I felt him, spiritually. So yeah, that's probably my favorite one.
What kind of information do you have for people who do come in contact with the bear?
Yeah, so if people just see a bear passing through the woods minding its own business, that's no problem. Doesn't hurt to give Quaker Rental a call. They'll let us know and we can just track that so we can kind of get an idea of where they are. If the bear does get a food reward or gets into a campsite, call your Quaker Rental office if you're within the park, or Red House if you're on the other side. Always call Park Police and they'll get in contact with either us if we're on duty, or they'll come over themselves and help make sure everything's okay.
Thank you very much for taking the time to do that.
Yeah, it's always good to get the word out. So.
All right, and a special thanks to Jake for taking his time. Jake from the state, and he wears jeans, not khakis. We made that clear. So we just want to do a little bit of fun facts about bears.
Bears can be found in Canada, America, and Mexico.
Bears are predominantly omnivores, unless they get a hold of your cooler.
Then they eat corn and potato salad
And macaroni salad and bacon.
and
But
hot
primarily
dogs.
they eat fruits and berries.
And it's good for them to be that type. Their diet helps them stay healthy. They have a varying diet that way.
A normal bear in the wild can live about 20 years. And fact about the sow bears, if they generally have between 1 and 4 cubs, And if they're not healthy at hibernation, they will actually reabsorb the embryo and not have a baby that year.
And you're not going to run away from them. Even the big bears can run up to 30 miles an hour.
And don't think about climbing a tree either.
Because of their short claws, they're able to climb trees like they were nothing. Just like a cat, they can go right up them.
A lot of times if you're walking along when the bears hibernate, they'll be in the ground in a like a cutoff. We had one laying next to our creek where it was like next to a rock and he was kind of buried in the side there. And you'll also find them sleeping in trees in the nook of a tree or in a hole in a tree.
They will hibernate. They will climb a tree and climb down inside the hollow part of the tree to hibernate during the winter. Then we get to the last point where the bears seem to get into the most trouble. They have a fantastic sense of smell. They can smell for over 2 miles. And being that, when people are out and about and they've got all kinds of food and hot dogs and hamburgers cooking on the grill, they can smell it. And they'll come looking for it. Bacon grease, they come looking for the food, and that's where they come in contact with people. And as long as they don't get acclimated to it, they're not a problem.
So another good reason why you don't want to be burning your garbage either, because that puts it in the air and they can smell that. And that attracts the bears.
Yeah.
Allegany makes it very easy for people to dispose of their garbage. They have dumpsters there and they do recycling and everything. So there's absolutely no reason why somebody should have garbage at their site every day. They should be able to drive by the dumpster and get rid of it on a daily basis. And those dumpsters are electrified too to keep the bears out of that. So
Well, the fences around them are electrified, but the
garbage cans aren't.
the dumpsters aren't electrified. That would
Take
be,
your chances.
but the state workers do an amazing job at trying to keep the bears from becoming problems. They try to educate people as much as possible.
When you check in, they give you a list of, do's and don'ts,
And they inform everybody that comes in that the bears are active, and they let you know to make sure that your food is put away. And that could be that's a good thing. And then you get a 400-pound bear that wants to be a problem, and he decides he's going to jump up and down on a trampoline in the back end of a truck and destroy a tonneau cover to get to the food inside of that. But that's just because that bear got so used to there being food, he came looking for food, smelled for the food that he wanted, and he was out there to get it.
so unfortunately it happens, but like Jake said, not too often do they actually become nuisance where they have to be removed. So that's kind of a good thing. So if everybody keeps doing their part and does what they're supposed to do to keep from attracting the bears in the first place, we'll have them there for a long time to see them and view them and enjoy them in nature like we're supposed to. And we'd like to give a special shout out to Paul Crawford of Allegany. He let us borrow some of his pictures to put in his footage in this, so I'm going to put a link to his YouTube channel down below. Go out and check it out. He's got a lot of information about Allegany and history and that type of thing on his channel.
Okay, if you already haven't, go ahead and subscribe. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and leave us a comment down below about any of the animals or wildlife that you may have seen in your travels around.
All right, until next time. Bye.
Bye now. Hey bear, what are you doing? Hey bear. What are you eating? What did you find to eat? You're not supposed to be eating that stuff.